Hey guys, so today's new quick look is going to be over the Siege event, A Knight's Tale. So first off, I'd like to say that, again, I'm not sure what DNA is thinking at this point, but they're not releasing the 4 self-fusion legendaries as soon as I thought they would. So it's probably going to be a little bit more. They're going to throw out quite a few more legendaries that maybe aren't nearly as powerful as Dread, for example, and they're just going to be kind of mid-tier ones. Not low tier, not high tier, just mid-tier. Maybe you might get a high tier or two, but I really think that they're going to just spam some mid-tier legends, probably Warlock ones to boot, and that's just how it's going to be for a few weeks until they transition over. Which will probably be for the next PvP event, at least fingers crossed. Anyways, so this event is a themed event that's really well themed actually. It's pretty cool, the whole Knight's Tale thing with Merlin, and then there's a bunch of dragons and stuff. It's pretty cool. I really like the theme, however, the actual fighters could be better. As you can see, Merlin doesn't have the best stats in the world. They really don't hold up to the standard that's being set by numerous other legends that have been recently introduced into the game, so I don't know, it's mid-tier like I said, and especially with a skill that has a 2 cooldown, it's not really something that knows what it wants to be. Again, there are a lot of budget legendaries that you could go for other than this. Like, I'd suggest a Minotaur over this a million times over. Definitely go for a Minotaur because you give it a couple HP super fusions and it's good to go. It's a tank. So I'd definitely look into getting that over something like this. But if you, again, have a themed band and you want something that's going to fit in well with it, this is a pretty powerful legend. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice, but it's just not that nice. So I'd go for something else, but again, if you have a themed band of some sort and you like the skill, then go for it. Again, by all means. It's not a bad legend, I would definitely tell you if it was, but I personally won't be going for it. You know, if Gawain Stoutheart was like a water fighter or something, I might actually take it seriously because it's a champ and it has decent stats. I mean, over 5,000 HP, over 3,000 defense, and almost 6,000 attack isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. But with Edge, it would be pretty good, especially with 2 cooldown on Scorch. Typically, it's 3 cooldown maxed out for Scorch, so it's pretty good. Although, I don't know, I don't see it being very useful because there are so many better alternatives that are really cheap for fire champs. So, while this is okay, it's better than what we've been seeing in the group of champs that have been released recently. I don't know if I'd consider it for a main team of any sort. Maybe for a budget fire band, but that's pretty much it. Honestly, I don't even feel like I need to review this one at all. It's wisdom fodder, and that's all it's good for. I mean, really? If it had 2 cooldown, it would still be pretty useless, but come on, a 3 cooldown on something that has terrible attack, what are you thinking? DNA, please, stop. It's terrible. Surprise, surprise, the leaderboard legendary is better than the actual legendary that you can build. Actually, that's pretty surprising considering lately DNA has been switching that around, so Lady of the Lake is actually really good. The skill has a nice multiplier from what I've gathered. At least recently, the legendaries have had decent multipliers. So, based off of past experiences with legendary all-target gurus, I would say that it has a pretty decent multiplier, and its wisdom is insane. Again, recently we've been really lucky with wisdoms on new legendaries, for example, a Selena. So, Lady of the Lake with decent multipliers will be amazing. So, if you're gonna go hard for a siege event, then this is probably one of the more decent legendaries you'll get for a leaderboard prize. Obviously, you can't build this, so that's going to be an issue for people that really want to get it early. However, with just about 17,000 wisdom, I'd say that it's worth getting 2 of them if you have the resources to buy them, because this is going to be an expensive fighter. All I really do is feel bad about this. This is just terrible. So this is the recolor of Volca. For those of you that don't know, Volca is one of the only siphon type fighters in existence right now. And it used to be a total beast in raid events and pretty much dominate the entire raid event scene. So how the mighty have fallen, because in this case it went from what used to be the best raid Paragon to a ridiculously underpowered Sting 1 cooldown fighter. Please kill me now. I pity the developers that had to do this. They're probably being told that they have to include this because for some reason people aren't using it, and then I don't know why that would mean they'd have to include more of them, but they seem to continue to try to force this on us. And considering, again, that Shamus is the auto-procking Sting, and it's still not being used very much, even with the abundance of agility super fusion fodder lately. I don't know. I'm feeling that this is never actually going to catch on, and unless they switch the cooldowns back to 1 for Sting all and auto proc for Sting, there's going to be a serious exodus of Sting 1 cooldown fighters just being gotten rid of, like a 5/5 epic for 1 bidder, because nobody's going to want them. All they're good for is super fuse fodder, and it's absolutely ridiculous that DNA is trying to force this on the players because it's just dumb. I mean, come on. And they're wasting perfectly good sprites. They could have made this a wind champ, okay? It would have been great as a wind champ. Now let's take a moment to think about this. This is a points prize with the ability Sting, with 1 cooldown. What is wrong with you people? I mean, seriously. This is just awful. So, yeah. That's what I have to say about that. I cannot stand the way that they're pushing the player base. And this is never going to happen. Again, I mean, come on. It's going to have a ridiculous amount of agility. Like, I'm thinking upwards of 10,000 and be Sting all with 1 cooldown. And then people might think about implementing it into their bans, because with Edge, it would crush dungeons. Okay? Otherwise, you need auto proc on Sting, period. Otherwise, it's just not useful. You just can't do anything with it, because what you would be using to superfuse agility with, you'd have to superfuse attack, and then you have major vulnerability because you don't get as much use out of your Sting, and it's basically a moot point because your skill isn't being used for as much as it could be. And it's just all around just a totally mediocre fighter. Skill, everything, just awful. It's beyond me why they would stick this sprite of all sprites on a awful fighter like this. Like, just keep the name, I don't care. Change the stats to have a little bit less and give it some crappy sprite that they've been leaving in some dump of sprites that they have. I don't care. Just really not a Volca sprite. I mean, come on. So, those are my thoughts on that. As always, thank you guys very much for watching, really appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it or if it helped you. I'm very sorry that I missed last week. I had some things going on that I had to take care of, and they sadly took priority over making a video. But last week's event wasn't great, so I don't think you guys missed out on much. So, yeah, drop me a comment below if you have any questions, any further comments, or really anything about the video, any questions, whatever. And Thanks as always. Until next time.